Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. Three, two, one. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Century of Podcast. Today, with my brother, Rev, man. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man. How about you?
I'm fucking great, bro. I'm loving the beanie. I'm loving having
Yeah.
you here. You know,
I am honored to be here. I'm honored.
come on, man. Rev is. How would you define yourself in the internet realm? How would you
In
define
the
yourself?
Oh my gosh, I would define myself maybe as a nerd learning and observing uh, this wonderful world that we call life on this rock flying through space. Just trying to learn, do the right thing, make a mistake here and there for sure, and then try and share the nerdiness and learn from all of you other nerds out there. So
Exactly, I love it. Rev, he makes content on Twitch, YouTube, Instagram. He shares some wonderful stuff, and I thought, what better person right now in this current climate to talk about these things with? Because weird time we're living in right now, probably the weirdest time in a long time.
I mean, yeah, definitely a weird time. I think we're in a hell of a time. I mean, but you know, throughout, like when you study history, almost any time could be a hell of a time, right?
Very true.
We're just, I think, what we're witnessing is a cusp of humanity, because through the internet and then some, we're able to unite a lot more than just the countries and your nationality. We're seeing France, we're seeing New York, we're seeing Italy, we're seeing Cuba, we're seeing all these different things fight against this idea called tyranny. In the end, I mean, it's the belief of statism, as some people know it. Whatever shape or form it is, it's the idea of another human having control over how to manipulate your life, liberty, or property through the greater good, right? And it is a hell of a time, because on that, and they use all different forms. I've witnessed them use crises many times already in my short life on this planet to just take more power and give you fear.
Yeah,
It's
man.
constantly fear.
That's a powerful fucking thing. You look at the archetypes and how things are, and fear is almost, fear has to be, it's the one of, or if not the most powerful thing that can happen, because the news is just fear, right?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, like, actually, that's actually, I just broke through. I just that is, what else is news but fear?
It used to be news, like that's where the guy was like, good news, it's like that. Most of us love, that's a great point, and it's become mostly that. I mean, murder, sex sells, they always say, right? And that hit of media, mamma mia, it is that, hey, somebody invented this phone, that's news, right? And like, if you have something good to share, that's what people want to hear more and more, I would say. But what the media has just funneled into is this endorphin creating, making you feel like you're in the in by giving you, there's always a news alert. If you pay attention, also there's always a news alert, especially on Fox. News alert smacks the screen, and then you go like, oh man, this has got to be important.
Yeah.
Then you like, everybody's like, and then they're like, the Democrats, blah, 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 blah. And then it's like on the MSNBC's news alert. And then it's like the Republicans, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, oh, okay. So they're pinging us against each other. Good job.
Yeah, good job. Well, fuck, man. Like, American news, I feel like, is on a little bit of a different, it's very different, right? Just like a lot of news across the world, I compare UK news to the US news. I find the US news, like, the UK news has a little bit of clickbait. Like, The Sun is an excellent example of clickbait. It's at its finest. Very, very offensive, very unnecessary. And then I look at, like, Fox News, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, that is dangerous, bro. I remember, right? So I for the first time, because I can watch NBA live. We got the channels, and I was like, okay, I want to watch the NBA live. Fuck yeah! And I go and watch it, and I see the commercial breaks. What the fuck are you guys advertising there? I see slim weight loss pill out now. Call this Aaron Stores by doctors. How is that legal? What the fuck is that?
Well, I'm all about, you know, just let it ride, right? In one sense, but the funniest thing is like the side effects of, you know, on that note, you talk about the ads on that stuff. Well, for one, Fox is, my opinion, the propaganda networks. They're just a tool to divide us and make us argue against each other. Literally,
I
it's
1,000,000% agree.
You know, and I used to be a Fox News, you know, like Republican and conservative, and then I was like, okay, cool, and then you know, we don't need to get deep into that just yet, but you know, eventually I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, they're just as bad as the other. They're just, there's not really any, they make you think it's like that last curve, like we're good, you're good, you're good, you're good, dead. like, and it's like, oh no. But the commercials though, when you mention the pills, like, I mean, just on a funny note, I'm just gonna say, all those magical side effects that we see for those depression, the best are the antidepressant pills. The fucking antidepressant pills are gonna have a side effect of having more depression possibly. I'm like, why would you take that then? You might have suicidal thoughts, even if you are trying to get away from suicidal thoughts. And then you might be bleeding out from your ass. It's like, no.
I don't want that. No, thank you.
I don't want that. You know, and then, but like, you know, those same things are being promoted right now to save your life. But, you know, that's all I'm going to say about that.
We're gonna get there, buddy. Like, and so I've got a friend of two of mine that studied psychology. And so some of the antidepressant pills, what sometimes happens is like genetically, because these things can happen. Genetics through trauma and these things can give you you can have depression, and it's not entirely your fault. It's genetics. So some of these antidepressant pills just have in serotonin, which includes serotonin. So they might actually help people, of course, but you're 100% right. I mean, the pharmaceutical industry is a beast right now. I mean, look at all this shit. Like, listen, I was cool until I saw Bill Gates' interview. I think it might have been on Fox or something, but it's where the interview asked Bill, is it possible we can get these Johnson & Johnson vaccines to places like Bangladesh and India, because they don't have those vaccines right now? He was like, no, we can't do that. And she was like, why? He's like, you know, they don't have the state-of-the-art facilities. You know, they don't have the place where you can make the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And I'm like, are you fucking for real? Bangladesh and India, like some of the most biggest places where people are doctors. Where do you think the stereotype came from? I know it's obviously a little race, like, you know, but like it's, you know, it's a massive countries that have money, especially when it comes to research and doctors, these things like that. You're telling me that's when I was like, this is something I need to worry about. This is something that I don't need to worry about it. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's like when I saw them sticking needles in some poor, you know, tribes and areas of Africa too, like giving them the vaccine, and I'm like, why is Bill Gates giving vaccines to people? Like, he was going, I'm like, okay,
he was doing it,
like that. There's some weird shit that's out there, and either way, the whole Great Reset's another topic too, because that one is one that I see. They talk about it. That right there. They, you know, the what is it? The World Forum. What is it name? They just went there, not at the G7 summit. It's in what is the name of that place? Oh gosh.
Okay, I might come back to you.
Yeah, I wanted to say Geneva, but it's not Geneva.
You do the googly.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a googly.
Yep, a little bit of the Google.
Yeah. Either way, you know, I'm a believer in competition, and I doesn't like when, you know, humans, I think that with genetics and stuff like that, we try and play God, of course, I think, with that stuff. And I think there's also the pursuit of science. I love science. It's a practice. You're constantly trying to, you know, your mind it's created this imagination, and you want to try it out. So, you know, that's the scary part of the humans. You know, we go like, we have that dark side, and then we have that light side of things, right? Yep. So I think, you know, by trying to create a reproduction of a liver or a lung or a kidney and an arm is a good thing. When it gets crazy is when people start going, let's clone myself so I will never. But it's like, we're going to live forever now. We just figured out how to, you know what I mean? When you, like, they even say how that it's a switch. But that's an interesting part where us humans get to. Like, we get either really good with the science, or then we go really bad and really dark. Hey, let's use this how to kill each other. It's like,
two things, and like nicely. One is a sidetrack, and then this sidetracks to something awesome. But I love your fucking beanie, bro. That is so clever. Like the Rom with the it's revolution, and then that is spelled backwards, so it's Ray Love. That's amazing.
Yeah, that was Ron Paul, man, all the way. The Ron Paul revolution of 2012 was when I got into it mostly. I was in 2011, 2012. 2007, I thought he was a loon.
Yeah.
Because I was an indoctrinated neoconservative, which I thought I was a conservative, but then I found out that I was a neocon more so.
What is the difference?
Conservatives are mostly, like, real conservative values are more libertarian, which I more am. When you're neoconservative, you believe in limited government except for the military or the police. Pretty much.
Yeah, and do you think your value is still similar now, or no? Or it's
Oh gosh, no. I believe that there's a balance to it all, but there's a philosophy of anything the government can do, the market can do. So
yes.
So there's like this whole balance of humans. We've always been in the struggle of governments, whether we called it a monarch, an oligarchy, or democracy, fascism stuff, socialism, communism, all that stuff, whatever we put on there. And then through just a short time, we've been witnessing this thing called economics come to life and understand it a little bit more over the past short, and I mean like a couple hundred years, but in the grand scheme of humanity, and let alone time and space, that's pathetically a speck of dust, right?
Yeah.
So we have this level of balance that we're trying to deal with, of like, oh well, who would build the roads without the government, without taxes, and then who, like, we always, then there's the other thing of like, well, if you privatize the police, you're going to get RoboCop. I'm like, well, that's that was crony police officers with government, which is kind of what we have now.
Yeah.
Thanks to the Patriot Act, the drug war, those are the two biggest. Easily, there's so many that you can go that have just like distorted it.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think in the essence, police force, government, military. The military, see, the whole thing on the military is where we've gone from defense a long time ago, but even very quickly it was, we never wanted to, if we were to wage war, our family, we're sending them overseas. If we're going to be going to war, what we end up doing is, are we going to have an endless war, or are we going to finish? What's the end game, right?
Yep.
And that's what hasn't been laid out in front of us, and we're all just like, well, la di da di da da da. Oh, that's just the way it is. Do 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 do. Tupac, it's like Tupac singing. It's like, that's just the way it is. And then I threw McDonald's in there somehow, but
it's great. Yeah, I fucking love Tupac.
Yeah, so in general, what I'm witnessing is, what I was in is that, if we're not over there, they're gonna attack us. If we're not over there, they hate our freedom, they hate this, they hate that. And then I just kept talking and debating a lot of people, and I met two Muslims, and I remember them, like, we were talking about it, and they reminded me of just the simplicity of, I'm like, they painted that, like, right now it's like the unvaccinated versus the vaccinated. Wow, can we divide us any? Obviously.
Exactly.
Now because what they were doing back then in 9/11, all Muslims hated Americans. You've got, there was such the Muslim gurgle, and then you had, it was terrible. And I was in it. I was in part of that indoctrination, and it was through 9/11. 9/11 happened. You just saw these towers fall, and you're like, oh my God, why did this happen? Not because of blowback. But because they hated us, because we had grass. The amount of things that came out, and that you would believe at points, is just absurd. But to admit it is where I was able to grow, like, to go, like, when you sit there and you debate, like, wow, maybe am I wrong? And so I'm talking to these guys, and we were talking about, like, the differences of, like, there's peaceful, and then the hatred, and then you just start thinking, as I say, like, I was a Roman Catholic, and then I read a history book about the Spanish Inquisition. Humans have this violence to them to abuse abuse power, so they'll send war upon each other. And then you had, God wills it through the Crusades, and now they used our emotions, and they said, the TSA is needed, Homeland Security is needed, the Patriot Act. And I love how they phrase it to make you, if you're not for the Patriot Act, you weren't patriotic.
Yep. How
dare you?
It starts victimizing people that just you start feeling bad. You're like, am I not patriotic? I don't know. Of course I want to be.
And you become hateful towards the others because of your fear that they feed off of. See, they created fear back then. Oh my God, if we don't pass this, they will attack us again. Mm-hmm. Even though we have the highest, most air superiority of the fucking planet that has F-16s that could have gone in there and taken those planes out if they knew it was coming. Mm-hmm. But everything was, no, they didn't know.
Yeah.
Whether the whole 9/11 truth, in my opinion, the 9/11 truth is that it happened because of America's foreign policy. That's the real 9/11 truth that nobody really, when you hear all the we did it to ourselves, the bombs, the demolition and all that stuff, whatever. Even World Trade Center 7 throws me off too. I go that looks like a little demolition. I mean, if you haven't seen that one, I'm like,
no, Alex, see, this is the thing. Joe Rogan is one of the greatest things that have happened in the 21st century. People are gonna say, what the hell, that's such no, let me tell you why. What it's uncovered for people such as myself is for us to learn so much more about what's really underneath the skirt. Okay, I mean the hood. Sorry, that was big gross. No, the hood of the car. Wow.
Watch out, ladies.
Alex Jones is a fantastic example. A man that, regardless of what you think of him, is highly educated and knows a lot of shit. His father was in fucking FBI. All these things that he said, and people call him crazy. Look, a lot of the shit he said has happened. And when I started seeing this, when I saw him a while ago, and I was like, this guy's retarded. As years have gone by, more things are happening.
Correct.
Everything he's saying is confirming true. And what it's just showing you more is that anything that the most people that are saying that's true probably isn't. Every time I was telling in the last podcast with Dylan, I said I love having people on that their views differ to the majority, because instead of getting the same blabber we always get, you get something new, which is like, actually, I don't think that is true that the media says because of X, Y, and Z. And then you're like, oh my God, the game is different now. You look at it in a completely different perspective.
See, and like that awakening feeling that you're talking about is, for me, it was with Ron Paul. And I'm telling you, when you go down that rabbit hole, like when people were going, like when Trump was calling out the fake media, I'm like, I'm glad you guys are catching up.
Yeah.
But it's been fake. And him calling it out was an eerie thing to me. I even said to people, I'm like, I would have rather have had Hillary win, almost, because when the economy collapses, people will blame government because she was visibly known as government. Mm-hmm. Trump stood for capitalism to the idiots and most people. That he pulls out this, I'm a businessman, So okay, but he fucking drove our country through further debt. Mm-hmm. I thought, if anything, I was like, was he gonna get us out of debt? Oh, cool. But no, and then you got the that's another story. Sorry, that one drives me nuts.
No, listen, man. Like there's a big, we were across the waters. Like, I remember I was talking to my uncle and I was saying if there was like because he lives in Utah, and I don't know. I don't know that much about America, and he said, it's a different, it's a lot of things to uncover in here, and especially someone that is American, and you're so invested. You're not just like a you're not just a average, like, about this. You've really looked into these things, and you're still looking and learning more, and becoming more, student, and still learning all these things. And your perspective is wonderful, because I see what you share online, and once again, it is completely different. The guy who I had last time, Dylan, he's in Alabama.
Rock on.
Yeah, very, very, very obviously Christian place and all these things. But COVID there, he's like, it hasn't affected anything. He's like, look, what listen, as long as people aren't going to hospitals and dying, that's the biggest thing, okay? And in the UK, we had to close because of the hospitals. I mean, I'm sure there was other reasons. That they told me this. They tell us this. I don't know if it's entirely true. But the West and America specifically, the UK is getting a little bit very, very, very left. You know, a bit more left wing, a bit more. At least the media shows it too. But America is free speech, man. It's the land of the free. The West is the land of the free.
Yeah.
And when you see the left versus right, you have to do this. You have to get a vaccine. You can't say this. You can't say that. That is where it gets very scary.
Have you ever taken the world's smallest political quiz?
No, what is that?
It's literally the world's smallest political quiz. Reagan said it once. It's not about left or right. It's about up or down. And this quiz, it actually puts in perspective that, you know, how complex we might be, but it gives you the discussion of liberty versus tyranny along with the right and the left. And one being about more economic freedom, the other one being more social freedom. And then where are you, like, kind of in the tyranny versus liberty thing? I'm an anarcho-cap in the end. Like, I believe in self-rule, and I believe in capitalism, which is competition, free trade, the free market, laissez-faire.
The hierarchy. If
you
work hard, you will get there.
You earn it, and then you create more by doing so, and then when you pass away, all of what you have can be left to whatever you desire. You know, not government going half. What are you? Why? Because I'm the government. Half. Like, what the fuck? What'd you do? He died. Did you do anything? No. I'm just standing here. Like, fuck, bully. A little bit of a bully. Yeah.
What do you think about, you know, in Europe? What's idealized a lot is, from at least this psychologist that I study and I enjoy, is they love the Scandinavian countries. I'm sure you understand the reasons why. Are they any sort of role models to what you think would be ideal, or is your ideal not really possible? It's not happening now, but it has in the past, or has it never happened before? Your ideal, what do you think?
Oh, my ideals are definitely not new. Like I've learned from others that, you know, from reading the book The Law by Frederick Bastiat, Ron Paul's Liberty Defined. I'm going to be reading Murray Rothbard. Murray Rothbard's the newest, like, enlightening piece. The one I shared with you, Anatomy of the State, and that book was 2012 that I read it. But just, I mean, again, like, just of how, like, still he's got so many other books that you go like, oh man, I gotta read that one. And then you read this one. There's one that was given to me. It's called Conceived in Liberty. That's like his opus, I guess.
Yeah, magnum opus.
Right?
Magnum
opus. Yeah, that's his magnum opus. And it but yeah, no, I definitely know that my idea, it's what I feel too. It's like, see, for me, I get, and man, do I get blood boiled. I am not going to be forced to wear a fucking mask, pardon my French, when my grandfathers and fathers and other fathers and grandfathers fought and died against Nazi Germany. Let alone, just that alone, just like my grandfather went overseas, did all that, not for his grandson to then, after, you know, just to lay over and go like, no, you know what, this invisible boogeyman that we created, or that's real, he's real, you know, he can kill you. But because of him, you gotta wear a muzzle, because why, we said so. But I'm an entertainer, though I don't have to, you know, I'm doing WWE. Sucks to be you people, because you're not essential, because humans don't even have a hard enough time trying to figure out our own essential part to this rock flying through space. But now we have another human saying, no, you're not essential, because of what you do isn't good enough. And
you hit the nail on the head, man, because why is it, you know, why does these people not wear them but we have to? It's like, listen, for people that are just not going to start crying.
So just the epitome of hypocrisy is that, you know, it's the epitome of it. How more Animal Farm can we get when we see the fucking pigs? Pardon my friend. This is me getting on my rants. When we see these pigs, you know, saying all animals are created equal, but some animals are created like more equal than others. It's like, wait a minute, that's not how it works.
No, that's not how it's supposed to be. I'm not anti whatever. Like, people can take away whatever they want. I don't care. Like, you understand. If anyone that knows me and listens to me understands my views. I want people to be okay. I want people to be safe. My problem with the whole thing, it's like, as someone that wears them, as someone that's been living in the society, it's been heavily pushed on. In the UK, bro, it's not like southern US where my friend is living right now. No. It is not like that at all. Right now, it's very, very heavily emphasized.
I know.
A lot of people are doing it, and you have more social anxiety. You don't want to really talk to people that much. It's not really a thing. When I went out,
purpose.
If people listen to the last one, people are gonna get sick and tired of me saying this, but in my last podcast I mentioned how I went to, for the first time in about over a year, I went to a big social gathering. It was at this nice little pub, and it was events, it was music. My friend organised. Shout out to George Matthew. He organised the whole thing, and we went, and it was amazing. It was a cathartic experience being in a social environment again, because that's where we belong, man. Like, regardless whether it be clubs or whatever it is that you enjoy, when there's people there, it feels good. You socialize again with these masks.
We are social creatures. We are social creatures. To see a smile.
Yeah.
To see a smile. I remember when it's a good thing. I always go like, man, in ballroom, man, when I'm witnessing them wearing masks, and then thank God one time there was this just time we were watching, and then they took the masks off, and everybody's like, the announcer, she's like, it was so good to see smiles again, and just you can see that, and a smile is contagious. I know and you know what they're doing too. The CDC, they've created this by the CDC regulations. You should wear a mask and blah 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 blah. And so what and down here in Florida, they've done it. Whatever the media can suck my buzz.
Yeah, right.
Just let me put it there. Sick meadows. With whatever they're saying, I'm witnessing visually, firsthand. How like, just stand up while you're in line. You must wear a mask, but when you sit down and eat, you don't have to wear a mask. The virus, it has a height differentiation. Got it. So I'll just wear that little bubble wherever I go. So that's what I always say. It's like that common sense and reason has left the building. I kind of maybe thought of that when I saw the Tide Pod challenge in 2016.
Oh, it does.
The fuck that was.
Genius.
That's what I always refer to. I go like, Tide Pod challenge kind of said a lot about humanity's forward steps of where we're gonna go for a little bit.
Do you think if people are ill, they should wear a mask? Do you think that? If they go to public, if you're ill, what do you think?
If you're ill, like I believe we've defeated our human anatomy. I trust that.
Yes.
Okay, I trust that.
Okay.
I trust that. Yes, we're gonna have people that are gonna get sick and die. We had malaria, we had yellow fever, we've had the Black Plague, and we've beaten these things. And now, in the time of the most technologically advanced side, we are going into what the fuck? My balls are going shaking up in this because they can't even figure it out. Yeah, that's right, because they don't know if they should reproduce or not. They should go like, you know what, man, I'm good. We might have to hold off on this because society is going down. And when you get into this, if somebody's sick and you don't want to breathe something in, wear a mask on your own point. I'm not going to force you to do something you don't or do not want. The best line that was said to me one time is that no good idea requires force. If it's a good idea, you'll convince people. And then that's where the lead by example comes in. If it's a good idea, if it's a good idea to get on a skateboard and go off this ramp without a helmet and you crack your skull, some other guy might go, oh, that was a bad idea. Maybe we'll try it with a helmet, see how that works. Because there is that innovation of humans to just try things stupidly. And, I always think of that. I'm like, if it's that essence of fear, it really is that line of fear. People don't fear.
Sorry. Ryan Holiday? Do you know Ryan Holiday? He author of Ego is the Enemy. Stoic. He's a very.
Did he write the Now? No, that's somebody else.
So Everything is Fucked. His book. That's Mark Manson that wrote that one. If there's another thing, I'll send it to you afterwards. Great author, Ryan Holiday. Ryan Holiday said, what the fuck did he say? Oh shit! I just lost my train of thoughts. No, he was like, what was the point you just made?
So, I'm almost like on. Wait, what were we talking about?
So COVID doing
no with the mask. Okay, with the mask, I was talking about
bad ideas. Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to get what he said, but it's like, just you.
Hold on. It's one of those. That's like a streamer brain fart moment too, man. I've had those so many times. I'm like, wait, damn it, just left, and you see it just trailing off, and you're like, come back.
Listen, it might come back, it might not, but
that's good.
I do think with what you're saying, it makes absolutely perfect sense. It's like, look, we're still here to this day. Everyone's like, oh, the world's so disgusting before. I don't know if I agree with you there, buddy, because it's like, you get a cold or a flu maybe once a year. Okay, that's it. If COVID's the same, like what the fuck's the problem? Like if you're gonna get ill or whatever once or twice a year, that's not a big deal. Yes, the people that are vulnerable should get a vaccine because it makes less people go to hospital whatever. Yeah, that's good, fine. But the weird thing about the vaccine is like it doesn't help you not transmit it because you can still do it and you can still get it.
And yeah, exactly. And just like we were saying before, we haven't even seen the commercial yet for these vaccines, have we? We haven't seen get your Pfizer vaccine today, so that with the antidepressants that are maybe in there too, you might find yourself suicidal, bleeding from the ass, bleeding from your eyes, and eventually eating other humans.
Dude,
we don't know, but it might happen.
Have you played Portal 2 with Cave Johnson?
No.
So amazing.
I've heard. Is that the Portal? My brothers were telling me about Portal. Is that the one with the AI eventually turns like it's
GLaDOS
to kill you?
So basically, like that's the whole thing. And in the second one, it's like a minor spoiler alert, but it's like basically you figure out what happened before it all went to shit. And the main guy, it's voiced by J.K. Simmons, one of the best voice actors and just actors in general, amazing. But he started talking about like warning, this experiment, he's talking about this experiment, it pays you like $100,000. It's a very big experiment. Warning, you people experience serious brain damage. If you have a stroke and die, that is not our fault. And it's like all these shit that they're giving you in the experiments, like in small fine print, like they make it's satirical, but it's
true. And it's sad because it's true. It's like one of those it's like that's the humor which we talked about yesterday is definitely a lost. People do need to get some sense of humor on another sense, but oh man, no, that's the thing. I think I'm a believer in lead by example, try and teach a man to fish again. These classic things that we know, like if you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime versus you give a man a fish.
I've got it. So Ryan Holiday said, look, why is history so fucking good? Why is history amazing? Because history always repeats itself. When he said that shit, my unconscious mind, anytime you have like an moment, that's the unconscious mind. That for me was a massive fucking thing because you look at all the past, all the things that you're talking about and the things that you learned from, everything, it's always from the past. History repeats itself when we learn.
I did jokingly say when I was, as a kid and I'm growing up and I'm like, oh, America, we were designed as a republic from Rome. And I go, but Rome fell. I always say that. I go, but Rome fell. Why did we do this? I was like, why are we doing that? It was like, and then and then as I grew a little older, and then I became aware of the Federal Reserve devaluing our currency and the endless wars that we're in, and I start to look at Rome's history, and I go, shit, we really are gonna watch Rome 2.0. Fuck, I didn't really want that. I was joking.
Do you? Listen, there is a huge rise of cynicism. Okay, right now, it's massive. It's absolutely humongous. Do you see really like bad things happening? Because I will look and listen to people and they'll say, look, we're gonna be fine. I see some people saying China's becoming like the America of what America was, the growth into that. Do you really think that America or the West will fall and there'll be a recovery or whatever? Like, what do you actually think that will happen?
Well, there's this term called the useful idiots. Have you ever heard of that? Useful idiots. And that's what throughout history you see it happen. What I think some of the tyrannical side has figured out is when the useful idiots get hungry is when they actually turn against you. So what they've done in America is they've given the facade that you have a choice every 4 years when they ping pong us back and forth, and we're all fat and happy. China's people, this was just said to me and it made sense because I'm like, okay, that's happened to us and I see it now to what you're saying. The people won't revolt in China against their government because they got a little mix of capitalism, which we talked about earlier. I think it was on this Thursday. We talked about on our history, Deng Xiaoping. He was the Chinese guy who brought capitalism to the industries in the farm world and pretty much mixed communism and capitalism with China, which is what we see now. And they've been, either way, when an economy collapses, we see there's either two things happen: either nothing, or riots.
Yeah.
In America, we've witnessed riots anyway because the useful idiots considering capitalism being bad when the fiat currency is actually the problem. And then in, Australia, UK, and the other Western worlds, there is this strain of, I think, the economic buying power of your dollars too, just as much as ours. How is the cost of living going for you guys right now? Is it like milk going up? Is rent going up?
Inflation is always increasing.
Inflation's kicking in. Okay. So the thing I'm like concerned about is just when the devaluation kicks in, that, if it does, like I don't think a lot of people foresaw, the whole, ruse of what we're witnessing, in its own sense of how they're doing a power grab out of it. Like I was like, ooh, that was a good one. And the Western worlds are definitely the target because who's benefiting the most out of this?
China.
What economy has boomed out of all of this versus
China.
Everybody else being, yeah, exactly. The Chinese Communist Party is happy right now.
Winning.
They're very happy. And when it was somebody brought it to my attention about they called it the Century of Humiliation. You probably know this, with the Opium Wars, pretty much it came through, and that was very interesting. And then I read it
a little bit about it.
So read up on that a little bit and just take a look into the Century of Humiliation, and it's pretty interesting. And I'm always a reminder of like, okay, well that's what the government wants, and to essence, the Western world's humiliated the Chinese people through those times, and they wanted some sort of retaliation is apparently what it boils down to. And Xi Jinping is pretty outspoken about it all. So it's not like, to them, they've actually been in World War III almost for a while, but they just won without firing a bullet. They just crushed everybody through.
This was the war.
The art of war.
Yeah.
This was if psychological warfare with biological warfare at its finest.
Yeah.
In one sense, that could be, that's totally going to flag you if you put that on there. But that's what, but that's what, in one essence, I'm just observing as I observe it, and you go like, okay, well, humans have a history of wanting to get power, and they use different things, and they do this. I wouldn't be surprised, what are like, and the idea that when we talk science and they're shutting out doctors that went to there was hydroxychloroquine that these 7 to 10 doctors came around America. They went to the steps of the Washington DC, and they all spoke out from California, from Louisiana, from like one of the Montana, I think, some other state, and they all came there. And then that's when the social medias were really starting to hammer. That's when it was because of that they went, oh, we need to control this. Oh, that's misinformation. Flag, 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 flag. And it's like, I thought this is science. And I'm pretty sure that's not just one doctor that you're trying to paint. And even, and then I have my great aunt who she got COVID, and then they gave her hydroxychloroquine and she got better. So that was that. So with the Western worlds, right now we're all in a extreme, state of, I think, it's more of a crossroad, I would say. As a species, as humanity, what we're witnessing is literally the ideas. It's a battle of ideas we've been at. That's what I realized. We're in a war of ideas, and what it boils down to is liberty versus tyranny. And what is that? And can we do we need to use force, as Yoda would say, as like, even Yoda, I love it too. When we talk about fear, as like Yoda even said, fear is the path to the dark side. And it's like, ooh. Yeah, he was right. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. And when you look at that, when people are fearful, look at them. They're hating unvaccinated people. Yeah. Oh my gosh, they're wishing you died if you're unvaccinated. I'm like,
dude, look at when I look at an unmasked person on the subway, I'm like, wow, like your unconscious mind is making these thoughts where you're not even really thinking about what you're saying. You're like, I think that's what they want you to think. They want you to look at that next man and be like, nah.
Yeah, and to even like see, for me, when I talk to people, what I've learned is like nobody, and that you talk about the social anxiety kind of piece, but there's that beauty that where the social gatherings, you felt that aura of like, oh my God, I've been needing this, right? And it's so true.
Bro, it's insane.
Yeah, And in America, they stop. Well, think of this too. This was the biggest thing that was like immediately. I'm like, oh my god, this is this book. This is straight out of Stalinistic books.
Yeah.
Like you can't get this when they want to stop information and ideas to be shared. And
Yes.
America,
That happens
when
right fucking now. It pisses me off.
yeah, and in America, one of the first things that came to mind when they did that, I'm like, oh, what a call out. America was born out of bars and taverns. We like the Marines were born out of a tavern. Like that's where they met and signed off on to the militia, because it was a gathering place where they could do that. I mean, and that's natural. I think just where you have a social piece to share ideas, you debate, you discuss. I remember when growing up and they're like, don't talk politics, religion, or what was the other thing at a bar. I'm like, no, that's actually important to talk about. I think I want to share. And what's happened, I think, what like through the ages that like of what we were witnessing, and we see it at its near fullest is you have a different idea than me, and you might be right, you're an asshole, and then they just either stomp away, they call you racist, they punch you, whatever it may be. But the anger comes in, versus, which isn't understandable, there's that check of reality, right? That like when I was growing, oh my god, America's government isn't good, and the Patriot Act wasn't really patriotic at all, and I was wrong to believe in that, like me, like that's where I had to like really take that shit. You were fucking wrong. Okay, well now let's look at where we are, and you got to go. Okay, that's the hard process that people, of learning.
That is one of the hardest things you can actually do as a person, is look at yourself in the book. Looking in the mirror is hard enough. Not just
Michael
because
Jackson.
Not just because I'm really, ugly. No. Not only because of, no. It's the fact that it's like, look, you're looking at yourself and you're understanding your flaws. You're getting to know yourself. That is a scary and difficult thing. Why do you think not a lot of people are quite mindful and, and self-reflective? I'm not saying if you're not, you're a bad person. We're all equal. I understand that you can do what you want. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Of course. But what I'm trying to say is that these things that are really difficult to do require a tremendous amount of effort to do. Like a morning routine, getting up, looking after yourself, doing all these things in a routine on time is unbelievably, unquestionably challenging.
Discipline is key right there. You're right.
Exactly. Discipline is key. Routine creates more freedom. When you're a kid, you have the assumption where it's like, if you're a routine, you're like stupid and like you waste time. But that discipline creates freedom. And you look at people like Jordan Peterson, and the reason why these guys have helped me so much is not because of these fascist right wing. Get the fuck. Listen.
Oh gosh, he is farthest. He, if anything, is he's an anarcho-cap without, in sheep's clothing, if anything. I did want to say nice posters, by the way. I was like, that's Jordan Peterson, man. That's Joe Rogan. Who's the one at the top? I couldn't see that.
My really good friend, Swarren, Dead Aliens Who Tell Doc, he made all of them. That's Joe, Jordan, and David Chappelle.
Oh, nice. That's a good trifecta there. Yeah, very cool. But yeah, no, I definitely. The whole thing, I think we're at I always kind of laugh to myself. I'm like, what age would they look back on and say we were in right now? The age of information? No, we were there already. And then I always go like, man, what happened to the age of enlightenment? I would love to know what the next enlightenment period would be like, right? And then I go, okay, maybe we can still do this, as much as like we're witnessing all this sad, like, I love when people are like, I hate people. No, you don't. You just hate talking to some people because they make you question your,
I'm scared,
I understand. Yeah, we get scared. Hey, let me say, I'm an extrovert. Introverts, I understand. Totally understand. Yeah. Those nerves though, like, see, I've had to be in those situations. Your nerves kick in. You have to have a hard discussion. Yeah. You have to talk to somebody new. You have no idea what they're going to say. Is the best thing to do in those situations. Take a deep breath, and then you go for it. The moment you take that breath, just go. Don't do it.
You get in the zone, man. You get in the zone. Like in that bar, there's so many new people, especially new girls. And I think at least for men, there's a natural, like, whoever you're attracted to, you get a little bit intimidated when it's the opposite gender because you're interested in people. And that sense of being a little bit nervous, but you have to you thrive on that, and you find your own way to go. Like for me, I just get in a zone. I'm just like, hey, what's that? I'm just, my intent. I have good intentions. Okay, I do not have malicious intent, and people can know. I've said this before. Women and people, people in general, but in my case is women can tell if your intent is good. There's an aura, there's a feeling.
Yes.
Carl Jung, shit is connected. You can feel
auras are
you
real.
Can't see. Have you seen? You would love this. The gate diagram that Carl Jung sort of did.
No.
It is.
If I see it, I'll probably know.
It's a square with two crosses in the middle.
Okay.
There's an arrow pointing left and right on the top and the bottom. That's the A's. They're labeled A and A. That is the conscious mind, okay? Right, and then you have B and B, horizontal and vertical, okay? That is the patient and the analyst, okay? That's the two. And the cross is in the middle. Oh, sorry, B is the unconscious mind on the bottom. The outside is the patient and analyst, and in the middle is the communication, okay? So that sounds a little bit confusing, I understand. But
no, but I'm kind of with you.
What that means is when we have a relationship with someone, and it could be anyone, but especially like a romantic relationship with a girl or whoever it is, you communicate so much with the individual. And that's why I think the unconscious mind comes in when the girls can sense if you're a fucking weirdo. Because there's things that can say...
The creepers.
They don't even know.
They call them.
They don't know why they reject them, but it's like, no.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah, you know, and I think even guys need to do that too, because there's certain ladies out there that are man eaters, and they get used 100%. And abused too, you know, because guys look for attention too, and that's the thing. I think just on a total other realm of things of consciousness, you know, it boils down to having that courage, like you're saying, you know, to get up and talk. See, men have. There's this level. This one study, I think I was sharing it yesterday, maybe on the channel, but there was this girl who she wanted to demonstrate that men have it easier. I think this was like, I forget what year it was, maybe 2012, around there. So she dressed herself like a guy, totally like did the whole make herself look like a guy. And I think within a week she ended up feeling she was proven wrong about it because she would get rejected by so many women as she would try and hit on them and stuff like that. And she didn't realize how much more rejection men deal with than women.
Dude,
and when you think of it, it was just like in that study for me, I was like, oh my God, I like reflected out. I'm like, oh yeah, we do. It's like we're the
forget.
Like,
yeah.
Because so did the women come up to men and ask them really, you know? Now, some women, I'm sure, are going like putting their hands on their hips and going like, "Well, I will." Okay, well, good.
Hope is watching this.
Awesome.
Like, that's not who I am. Like, I'll do that.
Hope, we love you. But you know, the idea is that you have this, and that's the beauty of nature and nurture. And I think humans are trying to fight too much of that in some ways. We're trying to distort it and say, "No, it's not real. Men can get pregnant." Oh my God!
Just relax.
We're not reptiles, people.
Yeah. Take a fucking step back.
Yeah, let's just embrace what we are. Okay, that's where I feel like it's kind of you know, you're not accepting. There's a lack of acceptance there, which you know, if you want to control your destiny and you feel like that's what you're doing there, go for the glory, Huck. I'm not gonna force you, but don't force me to change my reality. Like say, you know, up is down now. Okay, 2 + 2 = 5, I guess now.
Yeah,
are we going there? But I did want to jump to where also you were on the, you know, that aura, with when you're as a guy, you know, from my point of being in ballroom dancing, you deal with a lot of it. Let me tell you, when teaching many different people from all rays of life, all different ages, you meet. That's the one thing I loved about teaching is that you meet so many people on all different things, and the level of don't judge a book by its cover is massive in that realm. You know, and that's one thing I love. I just love seeing when somebody talks shit of like, oh God, I don't want to have that person. I want to. Let me get to know them. And like you get those people that are just so weird to people. They're like, oh my God, look at what she's wearing. Oh, look what he's doing. He collects rocks. Okay, well, what do? Do you smell people's feet for a living too? I bet you do. It's like, you know. Oh yeah. What are you doing?
So
don't tell anybody. It's like,
it is, dude. Like, I like that. I like how you as a teacher, you see that as a from a perspective. You see the worst thing you do is judging a book by its cover. And once again, our conscious minds love to do it. But
Oh,
consciously,
absolutely.
I tried to remember to obviously not do that. I remember, I'll say the story. I'll proudly take this L. But I was on the train. It was about 11 o'clock at night. I was coming from Birmingham to London. Birmingham to England. No,
There you
Birmingham
go.
to London, High Wycombe. It's and it's about a 2-hour train journey. 11 o'clock at night was very, very empty train. This fucking 6'4" black dude comes in. I'm like, oh shit, okay. I was like very tensed up. I was really scared. He comes up to me. He's like, excuse me, do you know when this train leaves? And I was like, yeah, should be about 10-15 minutes, mate. He's like, oh cool, no worries, see you later. I was just like, Dan, you fucking dick.
You were like,
idiot.
dumbass, I am a
He
dumbass.
was so nice.
It's
The
like,
nicest
you know, isn't that,
dude.
yeah, and that's where, like, and it's, see, you know, that's where we humans, we get into this like silly, we create our own fears, you know. We create boogeymen actually, and that's why I think they ride off of fear. But you know, that sense of like, you're going down, you know. Now if he was all like even the best is like somebody's all tattooed, they got like, you know, like things on their face, you know, and that's where the idea of like, you hear people say, oh well, you're approachable. You know, somebody's you can sense their aura, and you were obviously, you know, you had that moment in your mind, but you didn't really like go like, oh, you know, I'm not going to tell this guy to wear, you know, that's when it would have gone to the next level. You're like, oh my god, this guy's nice, he's here for non-malicious reasons at all, and he's just like wanted to talk and get some information, you know. And you get that like, please don't hurt me. Like, you know.
Yeah, I was worried.
6'5" guy.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried, but once he gave that to me, I was like, damn, I really should not jump to a conclusion that fast.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and that's where, so like, one of the things too I've always learned is when you're asking questions, you're in control of that conversation. Usually they say you kind of like, you know, hey, who's in control of the conversation? Well, the one asking the questions, because they're usually kind of interested, they're the anchor of the thing. And when you're dealing with relationships as a man or as a woman, and you're dealing with that other sex of like ooga, ooga, ooh, ooh, you know, that we have different tones that we miscommunicate on. But you have, I think, don't fool yourself kind of awareness, like women being in an abusive relationship, men being in an abusive relationship. Well, how can men be in an abusive relationship? Well, the girl's using him. She's
100%.
the girl's playing like the carrot and, you know, tail, like the bait and switch kind of thing. Oh yeah, I'll do that for you. Oh yes, honey. Oh,
Emotional abuse,
anything.
psychological abuse,
Emotional abuse, psychological abuse, and it goes on both sides, you know. Absolutely. There's nobody left out on that one.
No.
So I think that's where, you know, you get into that defeat feeling, that scarred feeling of like, oh, I'll never do that again. It's like almost like a hangover. I'll never drink again. I'll never drink again. You puked all morning. You're like, oh my god, why did I do that? And like 3 days later, you might go get a drink with somebody to celebrate a birthday.
Dude,
you know,
I'm not sure if it was he actually made up this quote, but Daniel Negreanu, you know who that is? Like world class poker.
No.
World's one of the best poker players like ever. He won like 6 major tournaments, world tournaments. Really awesome guy. Quite entertaining. That's how I got to know him. He's quite like an entertaining guy on YouTube. And he said, it's only a he was doing a masterclass, and in the trailer he said, it's only a mistake if you do not learn from it. Think about that. Think about that for a minute. People at home, think about that for a second. What does that mean? What that means is you can obviously fuck up. Perfection, it's either two things. Perfection is either it's non-existent, there's no such thing, or everything is perfect in the way it's meant to be. My uncle taught me the second one. Oh, sorry, I was like so confused at my hands. Yeah, my uncle told me this. My uncle believes in second. My uncle thinks everything's the way it's supposed to be. But regardless, it's never both that way. It's never just like, I don't think it's one or the other. Because it's either like perfection is either not non-existent or everything is the way it's supposed to be. And
well put too, because oh no, in dancing, like how I can relate to dancing, I mean, when we'd be on the dance floor, you're performing, and this came from, you know, all different high levels of dancers too. They would share this, is that, you know, you're gonna make a mistake. You know, you try and, you know, whether you have this full routine like ironed out, you and your partner can knock it out to any song minute, you know, it's what they call an open routine, and then you put it on the dance floor, and there's 6 other couples in the final, you're in the final, and in a weird funny way, you would witness this too when you go to a comp, is that you see all the like this is a huge floor, like huge floor, 10,000 square feet, you know. Sometimes it's like they're massive, and but sometimes they would end up all being next to each other, all the couples, like they gravitate to each other. It's the funny thing of humans. But in that mix, chaos then happens to where now their routine has to change. They have to adapt. They have to, they may have like had to hold a little longer.
Yeah.
So there's that adjusting that we get into, and it definitely, you know, if we sit there and we wallow it as a mistake, then it dominoes to other things. You know, if you sit there and you go, oh my God, I forgot. Like when I'm working with students and they have a routine that we always said, nobody knows our routine but you and I. Even the person who choreographed it doesn't even know it as much as we do now, because it would probably, we may have adjusted to our own thing.
Yeah.
But if you make a mistake, just keep going, you know, because if you sit there and you stop, you wallow in it. Now the rest of the future steps are gone. The song's over, you know, life has passed you by, kind of thing. Yeah. So yeah, that right there is a great thing to, you know, I love hearing that, because if you don't learn from it, yeah, you're right. You're gonna, you know, now when we also say in dancing, we would say, you know, perfection isn't like, it's never really real. Like we always kind of have that, it's a drug addiction kind of thing, like, and then we can then we almost like take steps back because we're beating ourselves up so much too. But yeah.
That took me something that therapy was how I learned that. I say to people, I said, look, I've got friends of mine like, should I go to therapy? I said, look, if you want to go to therapy, it's when you ask yourself questions that Google like can't answer. I can't find why I felt sad all the time. I couldn't do that. So what's the best way to do it? Get someone that looks at it from an objective view. Get someone that's specially trained to do so. I think it's important asking yourself questions. Yeah. And with the mistakes and like all these things, like this, you know, Jordan Peterson, man, these guys, the reason why people love him so much, especially men, is because he's been the father figure we never had. I'm not saying that my father didn't do a pretty good job raising me. I think I love my parents. They helped a lot. Yeah. But that perspective they give is unbelievable. It's that. No,
you're right.
He's always arguing with himself. That's amazing. Like, imagine if everyone did that, it wouldn't really be like the world, but we wouldn't be human beings. Like, if everyone was like, maybe this is like this other way actually that I'm saying, and he argues with himself out loud. It's like, this. But on the other hand, this, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I don't even know what your opinion is anymore, because you just argued both of them so well, like it is your own. Yeah. No, and that kind of circles to where I feel hopefully we're hitting a stage of humanity, is an age of understanding. You know, like, what were we in? An age of reason, an age of this. Like, I think at that conscious level of understanding that we're going to have different opinions. We're going to have this awareness of going like, well, we could do that, but then what does this mean if I do this? You know, and then like we don't judge each other if somebody makes the mistake that they tried something, because they tried. Did you try? No. They did. You know, they went and tried it, and you know, and I think like that's why growing up I saw the Challenger happen. You know, do you know about the Challenger? It was the spaceship that went up and then it blew up. Oh no.
It was I think 1989 or 1990. I think it was. Let me just double check. But the Challenger was a disaster in NASA, and let me just verify what year it was first. Space Challenger disaster was 1986, January 28th, 1986. 73 seconds into the flight, killing the 7 crew members. That was, it was very terrible. But the thing is like there's this, you know, one level of, if we didn't try and we stayed in fear, we would never go back into space. Yeah. You know, we would never try it again. We would never, you know what I mean? Like, there's that level of trial and error that we humans got to go through, where we push through fear. And again, with the consciousness that, you know, we're hitting, I think if we start to understand all that from, let alone that, hey, understanding what is government, what is tyranny, what is liberty, you know, what is life, liberty, and property. You know, my body is my property. My life is my choice to do with it what I will. That's the pursuit of happiness, you know, as long as it doesn't encroach on somebody else's life, liberty, or property. Yeah. And in general, I think ideas are one of our most valuable creations and practices that we keep, you know, going and motivates us. You know, if you got an idea in America, what was great is that, you know, like throughout history, we've had a lot of different things, and what, you know, we were doing is trying to like hey, if you don't want to be a blacksmith and you have an idea to become, start this little thing called a steam engine, and you want to try something out, go for it. If you want to try and reinvent the wheel, try it. Make it with more spring in the wagon's wheel. Somebody created that. Just ideas, I think, are one of the beauties of humans. And when we start restricting it, like with IP laws, patent laws, information, fact checkers, it leads down a dark path for humanity.
It's a lot easier to see negative things, and this could go along with it. But I saw Jordan Peterson do a podcast with this girl from North Korea, right? She escaped the country. She is doing amazing. Have you seen that? I
saw that interview. Yeah. Yes, when she, I saw like not the whole thing, but I saw like major clips of it.
Yeah,
I think.
When she spoke about free speech in the West, I was blown away. She goes to Yale and she was studying psychology or something, and she said that when she was in Yale, like when she was in the university, whatever, it might have been Yale, it was one of the top universities. When she was there, she felt that she was restricted with her free speech as much as she was in North Korea.
Yep.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Those were my 3 words that I said when I first saw that. Still to this day.
What the fuck?
The moment they try to censor you, no one can. I don't want to be censored. I feel like no one can censor me anymore. Like that's the thing. Alex Jones, he was saying, it's like this, right? Like a fucking bar, okay? Free speech is just this, completely restricted. The moment if they censor you a little bit, and then a little bit more. A little bit more. Keep, and then you'll have 0 much, and this is how much they want you to have.
Correct.
Right? So never let them censor you. Like I said, as long as you're not directly attacking anyone, no one's, whatever. As long as you're not being racist, whatever the fuck is fine. Like comedy, humor, it's the intent. You will never cancel Dave Chappelle because Dave Chappelle's not actually a racist person. He understands the culture very well. These comedians are very, very fucking clever. I watched Kevin Hart, Joe Rogan, and it blew me away how intelligent that man is.
Oh, Kevin Hart is hard worker too, to say the least.
Unbelievably hard worker.
Who's the other one? Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey's another.
Yeah.
If you haven't listened to him either, he's got. Steve Harvey, look him up too. He's another Kevin Hart. Well, he was before Kevin Hart, but he's made his way.
That's amazing. And so fucking famous and successful. These guys, my role models, individuals like Chappelle, all these 3 guys, Dwayne Johnson, Justin Baldoni, people that work very hard.
Dwayne Johnson sadly lost. Well, I respect him. He lost some of my respect last year when he sold out promoting
the Zao
Biden.
Biden.
He was promoting. He got political, and I'm like, dude,
you're a bit like,
don't do that. You don't know what you're talking about, bro. You just got and then that's where like some people go justifying because they're like they throw the little like, well, it's in Hollywood, and they're if they don't do it, then they get because he's in Hollywood. So
argument though, like what is that? What's the argument?
Well, in Hollywood, in Hollywood, if you don't support X side of things, you usually don't get any more gigs, which has visibly seen. It is. Oh, dude, Hollywood is pedowood in general, but Hollywood itself is lost. That's why gaming industry has surpassed Hollywood on another note. For over 2 decades. Like I think now it's I think it may be just a decade now. It's 2011 I think is when the movie industry has no like the gaming industry is like billions and billions of dollars now, and like and Hollywood is just like 1 billion. Yes, we got it up there. But anyway, Dwayne Johnson, even Arnold Schwarzenegger, who I love to obviously do impersonations of, but when he was calling the January 6th, it reminded him of Kristallnacht, the night of the broken glass. I'm like, that reminded you of that? Not the BLM riots and the Antifa riots, breaking glass and burning buildings. What
scares me is that those people weren't even part of the protest. Like, it's the fact that there are people that will be online trolls that are bot accounts, Russians, Chinese people, like the people that are
even our own CIA and NSA, our own government will do it.
Their own fucking government. That scares the shit out of me. And it's the other thing with BLM. It's that. What has confused everyone is the organization and the actual movement. The movement is for equality. I want equality. The organization, That's
is
a very
full on
rocky org.
is the hypocrisy. The organization is the actual. She bought $1 million mansion with the funds. How
She
much more example do you need that it's corrupt people?
did
She bought $1 million mansion with your paid money if you donated to the BLM, thinking you were gonna go to something towards like
dude.
maybe defunding the police or to the families of those people who were shot.
Yeah.
You know, that you would have thought it would have gone to, but nope, it didn't. Now the thing, I just on that note, I go like, you know, what's the solutions, right? Because that's what led me down the path. Because I go like, okay, well, I've always been, you know, I've been calling out police brutality for a while, and I blame the drug war and the Patriot Act specifically. Those two are the big kahunas that, you know, the drug war, like, and one person said it best. He said, we need to reduce the interaction of the police here and the civilians. What the police have become are revenue collectors. You know, you get a ticket for speeding, you get a ticket for this, you get a ticket, and then they can. What they do is for the poor class to middle class where they can't afford a lawyer, they can, you know, they'll plant a drug, they'll catch you for drugs, this, that, the other, and that's where the revenue comes in. Yeah. So they just drill on that, and the people who got the money, they'll just pay for the lawyer, pay for the ticket, not give a shit. You know what I mean? That's what you look at the movie stars. How many movie stars were like having drug issues?
It's unreal.
You know?
And plus, there's no repercussion. You can have so many drugs. I'll see so many. Listen, I'm a music industry. So many rappers kill, drug, whatever, and just get out scotch free.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. There was some even rapists and murderers are like fuck them. They need their dicks cut off.
The whole, I mean, the justice system is a whole nother 9-hour podcast. The war on drugs is a whole nother, you know, these. We are gonna be having that on the corner again, so that we can talk about these things. We need several parts. For those of you that don't know, Nerd Revolution Radio, my brother, he also does like Twitch streaming. That's how he first like networked to our Twitch friends, and he has an amazing Twitch channel. Check it out, I'll put in the link in the description on YouTube. But he has he has a weekly segment, right? Critics Corners Cafe's weekly segment.
Yep. The Saturday 10 to 11 we get together and we talk anything and everything.
Eastern Standard Time. Right?
Eastern Standard Time. Yeah. Thanks.
It's no problem. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing, and that's what you were referring to. So we need multiple segments of that to really dissect and get into these things. But you know, we all want the same shit, man. Like, why are you so invested in these things? Because we want to help people. Right? That's the fundamental thing. You know, that's what we want to do.
Help and continue to enlighten ourselves and enlighten others and share what we've learned. Again, it's just what it's all about, right? It's like sharing the knowledge and keep that like going. Like, okay, well, justify to me, convince me that having the Patriot Act continue is a good thing. Convince me that by getting rid of the police completely is good, but what are you replacing it with? Like, what's your solution? No police, zero law, chaos? Are we then for the Second Amendment? Because that's what in my opinion, that's the original police. Yourself. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me, sir. I'm about to break your leg. You know, somebody's like coming at you, you know, and you can defend yourself. There was actually just on a note of the gun law to knife and stuff like that. There was this one classic. I shared it on my story. Speaking of Instagram, thanks for that shout out again. This biker was pulled a knife. A guy, like, he was at a stop like sign, and a guy was just standing there, and he pulls a knife on him, and he says, "Get off, man, get off." And he goes, "All right, no." He's just complying with him, and he gets off the bike immediately. The guy's getting on the bike, and you see the biker pull out a gun to get the guy again. It's just like
that's like Uno reverse card, baby. You're like, yeah, sure.
Get the fuck. Bitch. Sure, buddy. I don't think so, bitch. I was like, Second Amendment, yes.
Dude, once again, Alex Jones, the fucking legend. You know, he said, you know, everyone remove, you know, they want us to remove our guns now, like in America, and then are you fucking kidding me? Like, hell no. They did it. They did it in the UK. They did it in China. Like, you can see, like, that man. Not many people. One of the best videos I've ever seen on YouTube is Alex Jones, Piers Morgan, CNN. Please tell me you've seen that.
With CNN?
Piers Morgan, Alex Jones debate.
No.
Rev, it's one of the only times Alex Jones literally on live television, like CNN, it's huge. It's got 10, 15 million views. Debating with Alex Jones is one of the hardest things you can do, because the man, you just watch him, he comes
his
in
energies.
his energy and the stacks of sources. This guy is not bullshitting.
Yeah.
He's talking about what's happening, the gun laws, and you just cannot argue with him. Another one is Ben Shapiro. I think he's got some cool stuff. I'm not 100%.
Ben Shapiro has his he actually just lost me big time when he was pro vaccine, like full, like he just I mean, and he's calling you an idiot.
He would be pro.
I was surprised, but it just it reiterates some things that I was wondering. He's like that last pull into like you're for liberty, you're for liberty, you're for liberty. No, you're not. What the fuck? Wait a minute. How are we still in the camps? I was like,
I thought he was. That's a strange when he did that, but you know, he's got some things. He has some good points on, and it's another one.
Absolutely.
He debated with Piers Morgan as well, and it's something you just don't understand unless you have lived in America and you really understand both sides of the argument. Is that you don't like you arguing against gun laws is very, very difficult, especially within America. Like cool background checks and a bit more extensive, you know, research. I think of course, but never.
We were born from a revolution, man. I mean, that's like, you know,
you cannot take that away, buddy. You just can't do that.
Yeah, and let alone in history we've witnessed. Not only for women, it's a good defense. Not only for your home defense. Not only for like a situation, like I said, of the biker being pulled out a knife. Not only for a situation to where like a crazy loony guy starts to try and bring a gun and shoot a bunch of people. Now everybody in that room pulls it out and shoots him, so he can't kill anybody else. I always say, where are these guns? Where are all these things? They're at gun-free zones. You know, when you can't have a gun, nobody can allow them. You know, and it boils down to this, you know, in history too. When again we talk about how it repeats itself. It's like how many more examples do we need?
And I don't
for them
know.
When they take away the guns, the government totally has mass murdering. And because the people can't stop.
Exactly.
You know, the people aren't going to fight themselves.
Exactly. Why do you think that these things happen? Because no one has anything to stop them. You know,
Quick question. Have you seen V for Vendetta?
Oh yeah, it's a great movie. Yeah, good movie.
Okay, we are so in the prequel of V for Vendetta. That's all.
Oh shit. Awkward laughing, really scared that I'm actually it's something that happened. You know.
Oh god damn it.
You know, we are aware of these things. The biggest things we can do is becoming too obsessed with these things. And this, if it's okay, you know, with you, I'm probably just going to one of the final points. I want to love your opinion on this. Any other closing statements? But one of the things that Jordan Peterson is like. We have to, you know, people worry about these massive changes. I will see people basically killing their fucking selves and their thoughts and drown themselves in climate change and BLM and racism. Okay, look, at the end of the day, if you're hurting yourself more than you're actually helping people, you're not doing anything. You're not helping anyone, unfortunately, right? So you're sad. Acknowledgement, if you can acknowledge that, it's sad. But what can you do that's better? Help your local community. Help the people that you know. And I'll see some things, I don't know if you've seen this as well, but it's like, I saw a picture in this Discord server where it's like, help others even if you're feeling troubled, because you can still give a lie. And I was like, what the fuck? I highly disagree.
Give a lie? Yeah.
I respectfully disagree with you. You know why? Because I believe you can only help people to the best of your ability. If you're doing cool, man. If you're feeling good, and I'm feeling good and I'm feeling great and I live stream, that's when I can give you the best energy. You know, obviously in person's better, but online I give you good energy. I can make you feel good. We can have a good time together. I wonder what you think about both of those things that I said. Like, what do you think about that? Those two.
Well, I think that's absolutely true. I think you can't fill another glass up if your glass is empty. That was the phrase that came to mind. That what I've heard one. That was like, oh my God, you're right. Because I'm a very big. I love. My dad would always say, you know, you can't help everybody. You know, you can't make the world, you can't save the world. Because I always have that, like, you know, I'm very solution based, and when things are out of my control, you know, of course it sucks, but like I've had to learn to accept certain, you know, accept the outcome, you know, and because you can't control everything, but that essence of, you know, if I want to help somebody, it was, I think, Dan Pena, who's like, you know, you can't change the world without money. And I'm like, well, dude, that sounds so greedy, you know, but what he meant is that money changes the world, right? So if you want to help your family, if you want to help your friends out, if you want to give that guy that you know is an actual poor homeless guy who's just had a stream of bad luck, you really want to help him out, get him on his feet, find him a job that he can start to make some money. Can you do it without any kind of wealth of currency? Not really. No. You know, so there was this essence of like, okay, well, and then you know, if you want to make the money, you're going to make money. But if you want to do it for those reasons, you're going to make the money to do those things. You know, so that helping others goes even like with a lot of different forms of like, is my mental health okay? You know, have I meditated and reflected on my own self to what I did today, of what I said to this person, to make it better for tomorrow? Like every day, that's where I think meditation and prayer once was. You know, people used to say, I pray in the morning, then I pray at night, you know, and prayer, I think, was this essence of meditation. People just didn't really know. And back when I was young, I would always sit there and I'd reflect of like each interactions of what I said to this guy, and how I maybe had an argument with this person, and oh man, they were wrong, or they were right, or I was wrong, and they I need to apologize to them or whatever, you know. So yeah, if you're not feeling the fullest, I definitely think you're not gonna, you become fake, and then it drains you even more. That whole fake it till you make it kind of phrase.
Exactly right.
You know, thanks. And the philosophy of fake it till you make it kind of is, there's a balance in there that I think people forget about. What the idea is that if you believe you're gonna be this person, you're gonna be that person. That's what that means. Is like, you know, you're envisioning the making it. You know, not this, I'm just gonna lie and lie and lie.
Yeah,
that's what some people get it into.
In my mind, I was like, that's a garbage saying, but I understand now that meaning of what you said. That, like, yeah, see, like it gets distorted, but I know what, like, from my experience of like going like, you know, what does it mean? Oh, that's what because I was envisioning all these things, you know, to make it to there, and like you just by being like, there was a philosophy that somebody said, all right, if you want to be a millionaire, if you want to be a billionaire, you got to think like a billionaire. What do you got to act? You know, so you can't. But I'm not a millionaire now. But if I pretend I am one, or I act as if I am one, like, because I'm not one right now, but you know what I mean, like that mindset kind of kicks in. Yeah, it's interesting,
you know,
perspective.
Yeah, thanks. There was one other thing you mentioned though. What was the second one?
It was the first. Well, that was the second one, and then the first one was the about JP talking about helping people and focusing on a little bit of smaller issues instead of helping. Well, I mean, you covered both of them. You perfectly said both, and it's like you can't help people if you're not feeling good. And, you know, focusing on those smaller things, it's just like more beneficial. And I know you, bro, you're a community guy, you're a family guy, you help us all so much, regardless whether, you know, it's not family. I don't believe family is just blood. You know, I think when Jesus was saying how we're all brothers and sisters, I think he was trying to share to us that we all are. Yeah. Because we're all from this earth, and we all have, you know, and I have that philosophy of like reincarnation. At some point I kind of go like, maybe they were just trying to tell us that we all kind of reincarnate. There's life after death. And that I say I've definitely believed when, you know, I have my good friend Negate the State, really good friend of mine, and I believe that we were brothers in another time frame, and we've just, you know, we're split from another cloth. You and me definitely already, like, you know, we're like, man, we definitely know each other somewhere along this ride on this planet. We do, man.
Beastly Cracker, he's another one too, where we've gotten to know each other, and you just that vibe of like, you know, being an old soul to being a new soul to being, hey, we've met before somewhere, like you kind of maybe roll with that kind of thing. That's a little bit different of sorts, but it was somewhat Jordan Peterson though that you mentioned, and I was going to rely on that, bounce off of that. But
well, it's what he said about you're not going to help anyone by focusing on climate change all the time and ruining yourself. It's helping the smaller communities and the people you can directly, you know. That was
it. Thank you. It was that. Locally, starting locally, being local was key, actually, and that's what the United States was good about. Like when you look at the American experiment of what they wanted, they never really wanted a centralized federal government. That happened after the Civil War, which that's another topic another time. But what they did is they wanted to create an idea of mini governments, like that's why, you know, we're a republic with city states, kind of like Greece, but we're a republic. Yeah. So in the republic is the power to the people, the representation, you know, of the people in that sense more so. So we had a House, we had a Senate, and we had the presidency. Yeah. And, you know, from where we've gone from there is just in this level of like bigger government is the answer, big brother. And now as I've like debated through like, well, what is the answer? Like, and I said, I'm an anarchical cap. So I believe in self-rule. I believe I have my own rule to make it happen. Now, if anything, and this is like, because as you go to like local, you go smaller government. Well, the states' rights, the county rights, the township rights, neighborhoods, and it is like your neighbor. Like if I want to help my neighbor out, I will feel a lot better seeing them make it versus me saying, hey, I'm gonna donate to help this person over in California. Not
House.
yeah, like, I mean, versus seeing it. That again, we're social creatures, so the it takes a village kind of thing, as they used to say, to raise a child. It used to take a village because the whole village was like, hey, we also don't want to get eaten by the predators that are out there, so keep the baby quiet. Somebody keep the baby quiet.
A quiet place too. That's like
yeah, right, there you go. Oh gosh. But yeah, I definitely feel we as a species have we're still young, we're arrogant, but we're young, and I think that with we all have good intentions. I think most humans have good intentions and are trusting. Hence, hence con artists take advantage of that all the time. But you get through that trust of like, hey, I'm here to help, man. I'm here to give you a good time, to show you that this will be fun, or and then I'm open for feedback. Tell me how did I do? Was it okay? But all around, thanks for having me on, man. It's been a pleasure too.
Come on,
it's been an absolute pleasure.
We're gonna do a part 2. I'm really, it's the time. I'm really sorry, but we're gonna do a fucking part 2. We haven't even scratched the surface.
No. I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
We're cut from like I said, we're cut from the same cloth. It's a wonderful saying. But Carl Jung, man, we're all connected. It's all connected, brothers and sisters. That was an amazing Sikh, not advocate, public figure. I forgot his name. He passed away, I think recently. But he said, someone asked him, what is the solution as a young man to lust? Always desiring and wanting to get out there and abuse their lust and their power. He said, you have to look at unless you're romantically invested in someone, everybody's your sister. Imagine that to me was a big revelation, because now that I look at most people, obviously if I'm interested in someone, it's the same. I'll treat them with respect, but I'm not going to be like no Alabama,
hey boy, we going to, you just like threw that guy your previous, hey, we going to be friends now, boy. I'm like, sorry.
Yeah, no weird sister things, but of course, like the majority, if I'm interested, it's the same respect. But the moral of the story is, if you look at everybody like your sister, man, and this family, you're not going to disrespect women, you're not going to disrespect anyone, because we're all on Earth, we're all fucking related, we're all the same.
You ever Carl Sagan said, we're all just star stuff. Yeah. And that was my like, oh my god, you're right. And then another thing you said is the gold, like how we treat all, the golden rule from it's like, hey, treat others as you'd like to be treated. Kind of goes a long way too. But you're right, it's what for me it was the we're all star stuff, because I was like, oh my gosh. And that's why, really we all are. We started from this boom of energy, and through the time of the cosmos, which is probably quicker than what, it's like time and space, how you go further away. Hey, that was very quick, don't worry about it. And like for us, it's like eons, we're treants or something like that. Hello. And we finally reached this level of consciousness where we've gone from like to like having vocal cords, to having, I love, as I love accents. I do a lot of voices because I love humans, how we try and communicate, and we have so many different ways of communicating. And that, I think that's where dancing has pulled me in tremendously, because music is a universal language of vibration, and dancing is a nonverbal communication. And it literally, one of my best coaching sessions was with JT Thomas. We're sitting there and we're talking about, how it is nonverbal communication. And I'm like, man, this is actually probably the closest thing to telepathy. And we both started laughing so hard because she's sitting there and we just like start looking at each other, and she's like, and we just start doing the moves together. It was like, we laugh so hard because it is a nonverbal communication in the world of dance.
You can giggle and laugh, but I know you deep down with that shit is real. By the way. That shit is like.
Oh no, it is not a question.
The reason why I'm so invested in Carl Jung is because that man, as I'm reading the basics of his book, everything that I'm seeing, there's not very many things that I'm still, let's say I've barely scratched the surface of Carl Jung. I'm literally reading the first book about basics, but you'll fucking love him, man. It's all about everything's interconnected, all these thought processes, the way it works, and I'm a big believer of God to me is everything. God is energy. Yep. God is, there's a higher, and I saw you share that, the black girl that was talking about it, amazing video, but she was talking about like, this is, you know, at least for me, this is God. Everything, you can't see it, and The Little Prince, have you read that book?
Amen.
Yeah,
No.
It's a classic, it's one of the best books I've ever read.
Do you know, what you just said is one of the things that was my biggest ahas of when I was learning about, again, I grew up Roman Catholic, and then I read a history book, and then I also read how there was multiple other gospels outside of the 4 gospels that we always knew. I'm like, what? And then I realized the human variable distorts things for its own gain. The Gospel of Thomas was nullified to be in the Bible, because in that Bible, in that gospel, there was this moment where Jesus had said, God is everywhere. If you look under a tree, or if you look under a rock, I am there. If you look at a tree, I am there. If you look anywhere, I am there. And so nullifying a organized religion, church, and stuff. So that's why they didn't want it in there. I'm like,
that's
bastards.
So they took that out.
They took that. It's not in the Bible. Yeah, that's the Gospel of Thomas was found later with a bunch of other.
That's actually in there, but they took it out.
Like, yeah. So when they found all the Gospels, when the Catholic Church came and they were putting the whatever, I think it was the Roman. The Holy Bible that we've known for, like, that's been going around since the Romans, like, really kind of put it all together to sell the Christianity and get rid of the pagans. That's when they were deciding on what went in there, and like they had and Gospel of Thomas was one of them.
Whatever. So
pretty interesting.
Jesus said that.
Yeah, that was one where Jesus, like, he makes his point of preaching to the people, and he says, if you look under,
what a fucking guy, like, you know. Last thing, because we can literally talk for hours.
Yeah.
With me.
Oh yeah.
But Sikhism and Jesus, like, Sikhism is interesting because all the gurus, there's like literally, they existed. There wasn't long ago. It was 1500s, and their writings are here. It's compiled in the big Guru Sahib, which is like the book. It's all compiled in there. It's really interesting because all these guys, you know, they were pretty similar things to Jesus. As like, you know, Guru Nanak, the founder of Sikhism. Even the word is weird because for them it's like, he said it's not a religion. We the West, because we ruined it, because we ruined everything in the world basically, especially Britain. We basically ruined everything, including
That's
India.
okay. No, if it weren't for Britain, we wouldn't have a lot of the things around the world. You guys, we're still related. You guys are like our, you know, stepdads.
It still basically fucking sucked. Like, we ruined the whole Middle East, China, whatever. So because of
everybody tries to go in the Middle East and fails. Don't worry, you're not alone. Like, Alexander went in there, failed. Russia went in there, failed. England went in there, failed. We did. We're failing. It's kind of a thing.
He went to the water like for like a day. He went missing for a day. Nanak, he came back and said, there is no Islam, there is no Christianity, there is, you know, no God. Everything is God, and all of these things. And it's amazing how I can almost kind of believe that Jesus was just some cool dude that had some really interesting thoughts. It doesn't surprise me.
You got to read this book, man. You are on par with this book.
Yeah.
I read it, actually. It was the first book I read. It was called The Zealot. It's called Zealot, not The Zealot. Zealot.
Okay, by who?
Jesus of Nazareth. That man, if you were to have try and peel back telephone of humans, like exaggerations and stuff like that, of like, okay, you know, this is from Peter, this is from Paul, and this is from da-da-da-da. That man peeled back and he wanted to get to know Jesus, the historical man. For a moment, I mean, it was so blasphemous in a way to read. You're like, oh my God, this is, you know, all those things, you know, but he did an amazing job.
I can't wait.
And I don't want to give a spoiler for you, but like the ending was great because he I'll just leave it there.
Is this like real? Like, what is this? Like real? Like, what is this?
This is like this book. It was this guy. He put all these. He was a historian who studied Muslim, and he studied Islam, and he studied Christianity and Hebrew, and he put all these things from all these texts together, and he kind of will share his findings and kind of get into the details of, if you were to take, you know, walking on water away, taking away, you know, the feeding the wine, you know, the wine and all that stuff, take it all away. Like, who was he? You know,
I would love to. I can't wait to read that.
You were gonna love it. It is so it was so. My brother handed that to me for Christmas one year. He's like, no, you're gonna like this. And then I started reading it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it was one of the. It was almost like a binge watching kind of thing. You're like, I gotta read the next. It's like they became those. So
I love Game of Thrones. I read that shit all the time. I know
that's
like,
what I'm telling you.
Binge.
Yeah, it's a binge watch on Jesus, you know.
On that note, bro, thank you
Yes.
so fucking much for coming. Anything you want to plug right now? I'll put all your links in the description, but you can just, if you, it's like you ever watch Hot Ones with the chicken wings? You seen that?
Oh, yes,
It's like the plug, like 1 minute plug, like whatever, go.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, life is a balance. Enjoy the ride and rock and roll, and always remember that, life, liberty, and property is key. Keep the golden rule in practice, and as we did say, just keep learning by those mistakes. Because if you ain't even trying, you ain't even gonna make mistakes. So, stay nerdy, nerds.
Big Rev, man, thank you so much. I love you, buddy. Thank you. It's been a
Honor is all
pleasure.
mine, man.
Honor, man. Like, I hope people enjoy this, but the most important thing I say every time is we had a fucking good time. That's the important thing, and hopefully people enjoy
amen.
it too, but whatever.
I do too. Yeah. Hey, and you know what though? That's what I always say for myself is like, hey, when I just dance by myself, or if I'm making a joke in my head and I'm laughing, if you're not laughing, God's laughing too. At least it's like, hey, at least I'm making a little joke. Did you get a good one out of that one?
That's what I'm talking about. God's just having a fucking good time. Like, God's always vibing out. He's here, and he is fucking cool as fuck.
Amen.
Love you guys.
Amen.
Have an amazing day. God bless. Peace out.